was just about to check my fucking channel.
Guys, we are going to be reacting to predicting the entire NFL season.
Alright, buddy, move the camera to the main man.
Shut you.
Scooch that camera over. Oh, yeah.
We're going to be reacting. You have to get into it in 30-minute max. NFL honors, we're not watching that bullshit.
Alright, buddy, look at all this room you have. Scooch that shit over.
Let's get into it.
With the NFC North and the Chicago Bears. It's a new era in Chicago. Justin Fields is out, Caleb Williams is in. And I think he was a true blue chip prospect. He has the tools and potential to be a great quarterback in this league. He also has a great supporting cast around him with DJ Moore, Keenan Allen, and rookie Rome Odunze. The defense should also be pretty solid, led by Montez Sweat and Jalen Johnson. However, Caleb Williams is still a rookie and has a lot of growing to do. I have the Bears going 7-10, which is a little lower than most. I can't give it to
I have them going like
too high of expectations.
9-8.
What the fuck? Hold on. What the
Overall,
fuck?
this season is just to see what the Bears have in Caleb Williams, and there's no need for them to try and contend this year. But the future of big Chicago Bears
Hold
is
on.
bright.
What the
Moving
fuck?
on to the Lions.
What the actual?
Oh, you just gotta move past that.
They have one of the best. They have one of the best fucking offenses.
The Lions are a bonus.
Hot take. One of the best offenses in the AFC. In the
Jahmyr
NFC.
Gibbs is a rising
Bears.
superstar, and Amon-Ra St. Brown is at minimum a top 7 receiver. Ben
Minimum.
Johnson is an outstanding offensive coordinator.
That's an
And the
interesting
Lions
take right
defense
there.
fixed their only big flaw, the secondary,
Everybody
by
knows
drafting
it's a top
Kerryon Arnold and
They
Ernest
fixed the
Rakestraw
secondary.
Jr. They also brought in Carlton Davis, which I think is a really underrated signing. This team is ready to contend now, and that's exactly what they're going to do.
12-5?
For the
Okay,
Packers,
that's it. I
last
have them
season
at
was all about
11-6.
finding out if Jordan Love was the guy, and it's safe to say that he
Jordan
did just
Love
that. They also
is
upgraded
the
and got
guy.
younger at running back.
I have the I would say I have the Packers
who just
go
2 years
in.
ago led the
Packers
league in
are
rushing
like
yards.
11 and
Their
6.
receiving
No,
core
I have
is super
10 and
young
7
and
this
talented
year.
as well,
No,
headlined by
next
Romeo
year's gonna
Dobbs
be a
and
big
Jaden
league.
Reed. Getting rid of Joe Barry should
No.
help this defense
11
actually perform like the roster talent suggests they should. I have them finishing 10-7 this season. While lacking superstar talent, this team doesn't have many holes on their roster. I think this is an above-average squad that will have an above-average
It's not
season.
impressive
Similar
that
to the
you
Bears,
agree
the
with
Vikings
this
also
guy.
drafted a quarterback in the first
All I know
round.
is they're
Oh,
losing
we
to the
have
J.J.
Jets.
McCarthy
Oh, we
10th
have an
overall. But
international
unlike
game?
Williams, McCarthy won't have to start week
UK?
1, which will be very beneficial for him. The Vikings will likely start
UK?
free agent Sam Darnold at QB, who I think isn't as bad as everyone else thinks.
Hell no,
Finally has a
man.
proper supporting cast around him, with a top 5 receiving core in Justin Jefferson, Jordan
Excuse
Addison,
me?
and TJ Hawkinson, as well as a top 3
Honestly, I'd
tackle
rather
duo in
start
Christian
McCarthy.
Darrisaw and Brian O'Neill. Aaron Jones is still a good running back, even at the age of 29. His defense should be very
that's
solid
pushing.
as well. I think
I would
Brian
rather
Flores
start
is an elite
McCarthy
defensive
than
mind
the
between
fucking
drafting Dallas Turner and
hallucinating
signing
bitches.
players like Jonathan
They're
Goddard
fucking
and Blake
hallucinating
Cashman.
bitches.
They haven't improved their
All
defense
very
significantly.
effective.
I'm
It isn't
going
all great though. There's some major questions
I'm
with the
going
interior
9,
offensive
8
and
and 9.
defensive lines. So
9,
stopping the run
8.
and getting
They're not
interior
finishing
pressure
it.
remains an
If
issue. The Vikings
they
also
can
have a
fucking
very
start
tough
JJ
schedule, and I
McCarthy
have them
for
going
Cardinals
9-8. This team has a lot of young players at key positions.
They are
they
not-
lose to the Jets.
They
Oh
are
yeah,
not-
give us some
They are
snaps.
not beating the Lions.
Here are my projected
No, I'm not
NFC
seeing that
North
happen.
standings. The Lions take the division for the second year in a row, going 12-5.
Move up
but
the
the Packers
Bears
not too
ahead of
far
the
behind
Vikings,
at
and then we're
10-7.
good.
The Vikings come
Yeah,
up
the
just
Vikings
short
are
of second
finishing
place by
last.
1 game, and the Bears fall to 4th place in what
Because
is a
the
very
Bears are
competitive
finishing
division.
10 and
Moving on to the
9 and
NFC
8
West,
and
we'll start with the
NFC West
defending
now?
NFC champions.
I have
49ers.
49.
I see the
They
Bears
lose
taking
many
that
pieces
big ass
for
fucking
the
leap. I'm
most
talking
notable
big
losses
ass
against
fucking
them.
leap.
Vegas lost didn't actually come in free agency, but
16
before
or
then in the
17.
Super Bowl, where Dre Greenlaw tore his
Exactly.
Achilles,
Big
and it's
ass
likely he
fucking
won't be able to return by
Touchdown.
week 1. Devondre Campbell is a solid replacement, but he is nowhere near Greenlaw's ability. Despite Brandon Ayuk's cryptic messages and weird conversations with other players, I don't think the 49ers have any intention
I
of
could
trading
see
him.
13
This is
and
more or
4.
less the same team as
Yeah.
last year, and I see them having a very similar
13
season
and
to
4.
last year, going
I see
13
12
and 4.
wins.
Like all
Yeah.
teams, they will
I
slip
see
up a few
12.
times and have a few surprising losses.
I
But
do.
overall, they
I
will
see
cruise
12.
to the NFC West and NFC in general yet again.
Ayuk's
On to the
not gonna
Rams,
get
looking
much
within a
playing
point
time.
of moving on to
10
the
and 7.
divisional
That's
round of the
10 and
playoffs
7.
last season. This year, they will be looking to make it back to the playoffs, but they won't have Aaron Donald helping them out this time. However,
10 and
they have
7.
rising stars at many positions. Puka Nacua is
Better
the
than
first
the
name that
Steelers.
comes to mind, coming out of nowhere last season to break the rookie receiving yards and receptions record. Kyron Williams broke out as well, finishing 3rd in rushing yards despite only playing 12 games. Kobe Turner and Byron Young are promising players as well.
Kyron
And
Williams
of course,
is a top
veterans
10
Matt
running back.
Stafford and Cooper Kupp are still some of the better players at their positions. I have this team going
Yeah,
11-6 this upcoming
People have
season,
them in the
winning some
top
big
five.
games,
11 and
including
6,
getting
you're
revenge on the
pushing it.
Lions in week 1
You are
and beating the
pushing it.
49ers in week
I was
15.
beating the
I find no
49ers.
reason
I was
this
looking at
Rams team
9
can't
and
have a good season. Cardinals
said
are
10
still
and
in a
7.
rebuilding phase, and though they have
Yeah.
Kyler Murray
Yeah,
as their
rebuild, they're
quarterback, they still
finishing
have holes
6
everywhere
wins.
else on this roster, specifically interior defensive line, cornerback,
But
and
they got
interior offensive
Connor.
line. I love
They
Marvin
gave
Harrison Jr. as a
Connor-
prospect.
I'm giving them
Paris
7
Johnson
wins.
is a very solid tackle, but those are really the only
I'll
bright
give him
spots on
8,
this offense
honestly.
outside of Kyler Murray,
I'll give-
and that's why I
I'll
have
give
them
him 8.
finishing
Oh, they
just
have a
4
free
and
skin.
13.
What
I think they'll keep a
the-
lot of games close, but when it really matters, I think this defense is either going to
They
fold
have
or
the
Kyler
freest
won't be able to
schedule.
orchestrate a game-winning drive. This Cardinals team
I
does
could
have
see
some
8
promising
wins with
players,
this
but they
schedule.
aren't ready to
I have them
compete
beating
with
the
most other teams
Chargers,
just yet.
beating
I'm
the
just gonna put it out
Panthers.
there.
I have them
think the
upsetting
Seattle
the
Seahawks are one of
Rams.
the most overrated teams in the NFL right now.
What?
Geno Smith
Who is
the definition
talking
of a
about the
mediocre
Seahawks? What do you
quarterback.
mean
Its offensive line is not
Overrated.
good.
I don't
They
see
do have a great
anybody
receiving
saying
core,
it
but it isn't going to matter if Geno doesn't have any time to
Yeah,
This defense
they're
outside of
finishing
a
like
few players is
8
awful as
and
well.
9.
I like Byron
8
Murphy.
and 9.
Devin
Yeah,
Witherspoon
8
is a
and
great
9.
corner, but that's about it.
8 and
Tariq
9
Woolen will get you
wins,
some
something
interceptions,
like
but he can't defend the run
The
to save his
CB
life.
duo is going to be
Speaking of run
great.
defense, the
They're
Seahawks
gonna
don't
have
really
to
have
carry
anyone.
the
Byron Murphy
defense.
can
Wait, they
stop the
have
run, but he's
Wagner.
more of a pass rusher than a run defender. Leonard Williams is
Yeah,
good,
well,
but
not
not great, and the loss of Bobby Wagner really drags down this linebacker core. Taking all this into
Womp
account, I
womp.
have the
You get-
Seahawks
that
finishing at
pushes
just
you down
5
to-
and 12. I'm sorry to say it, but this team is just
Whoa, hang on there,
whoa,
pal.
buddy.
Hang
Whoa,
on
whoa,
there.
whoa.
9 wins. But on the bright side, the
You just
Seahawks
live
in
in
a
a
good
small
position to
video.
draft a QB next
The
year.
presence of
Looking at my
YouTube.
projected NFC
Cardinals.
West predictions, I don't
Yeah,
think
that's
this is going to
exactly
be
the
super
order I would have.
controversial. 49ers and Rams are far and away the two best
Except the
teams in this
Seahawks
division. With
and
the
Cardinals
49ers
add on
taking
some
the
more
division
wins
at
for them.
13 and 4, and the Rams coming in second at 11 and 5. The Seahawks come in third at 5 and 12, and the Cardinals
11
bottom out
and
at 4 and
5. You
13.
mean
It may
11
be
and
boring to put the
6? You
49ers
But
and
you're not
Rams
ready
on
for the
top
Brees
again,
Hall
but
over
that's just how
McCaffrey.
it is.
Use your head, buddy.
Moving
It's
on to the
11 and
NFC East,
6.
and we'll begin with the New
Use
York
your fucking
Giants.
head.
Giants,
This is overall
yep,
a solid
they're
team that's drastically held back by two things: quarterback and receivers. Daniel
5
Jones
and
is
12.
not a franchise quarterback, and outside of Malik
They have
Neighbors, the
potential to
receiver
go
room is very
defeat it.
mediocre. Downgrading from
Oh,
Saquon
that
Barkley
is
to
the
Devin
most
Singletary
three
doesn't
wins.
help either, and we still don't know what's
Superstars
going on with
Send
Brian
your
Daniels.
whole
The
team to
defensive line is very
Guatemala.
good, and I love Brian
They're
Daniels
gonna
as
be
a
like
head
the
coach,
Jets
but I still
last
only see
year.
his
3
team winning
wins.
6 games.
No,
The schedule is
they are
not
not.
favorable either, being tied for the
No, they
6th
are
hardest in
Best
the league.
D-line
And
in the
overall,
league.
this could be
Yeah, boy,
another
you won,
disappointing
buddy.
season for the
Best
Giants.
D-line
They can
in
get
the
out of Daniel Jones' contract after this season, though, so at least there's
Top
that.
10
Eagles had an
DB.
extremely disappointing second half of the season last year.
And that's why
Jalen
they
Hurts
were
regressed
9 and 8
significantly
missing
in
the
the passing
playoffs.
department
Just
from
like we have in our
2022
last
to
video. Go
2023.
check it
He
out.
just one more touchdown and over double
No,
the
that is
interceptions.
not what
The
we
defense
had
was
in the
also
last
very
video.
bad
Buccaneers
last
are
year,
making it in
specifically the
7 seed over
secondary's tackling. However, I think that play calling played a large factor in the second half collapse, and bringing in Kellen Moore and Vic Fangio
No,
should
they're
help
not
out
fixing
quite a bit.
anything.
Adding Quinion
Eagles
Mitchell and Cooper
boys,
DeJean
this-
should help as well. I also
9
think
and 8.
Jalen Hurts will bounce back this year.
No.
That, combined with a
Shorter
relatively
Hurts
easy
isn't bouncing
schedule,
back at
gives
all.
them 13
10 and
wins in my predictions.
What?
With
What
Rams
the
coming to
fuck?
relatively
They're getting
great
10
games on
fucking
the road.
wins.
I really
This
think the
fucking
play calling played
horrid
against you last year,
poverty
and this year we'll
franchise.
get to see
They
their
are
true
not
potential.
fucking
It's a
getting
new era in
13
Washington.
wins.
They
This
decided
is
to fire
not no
Ron Rivera
fluke
and hire
season
Dan
like
Quinn.
Super
But
Bowl
I'm not sure if
56.
this was the right move.
They are a
Hiring a
fluke-ass
defensive-minded head coach
fuckboys,
usually
bro.
puts a cap on the
Super Bowl
ceiling of the
57.
team. I mean,
They are a
Commanders,
fluke-ass fucking franchise.
Yeah.
Can't do
And we're gonna
shit.
have a few
Jan
years the
Daniels has
Commanders are
been
gonna look back on
6
this
and
hire
11.
and wish they got someone else a head coach. Also,
6 and
hiring
11.
an offensive-minded
7
head coach is usually better for a rookie quarterback. Speaking of rookie quarterbacks, they drafted
They
Jaden
got-
Daniels second overall. He's
they
an
got
elite runner
Terry.
already, but he lacks a little
Terry
as a
to
passer.
throw
He
to.
doesn't attack the middle of the field very
Oh,
often.
look at that
which can
run.
often
That
lead
is
to missing
beauty.
open digs or crossing
Give me
routes.
7
However, his
wins.
deep ball is great and his
6.
upside is very high.
7.
But as with most teams with rookie quarterbacks drafted high, I
7.
don't think the Commanders are going to do very well this year.
Give me
I have them
7.
at just 2 wins.
What the fuck?
Looking at the rest of this roster, it makes a
2
lot more
fucking
sense. Their edge
wins.
group might be the worst in the league, and the secondary isn't much better. The offensive line outside
Oh,
of Sam
hell
Cosmi isn't
no.
great as well. However, a 2-win
This
season is
might
always
be
bad.
the
because we only
worst
get a
thing
5
I've
draft
ever
pick
seen.
next
That is
year,
not
and it's not
doing
like they have any expectations this year anyway. Be patient, Commanders fans. Your time will eventually come.
Shut.
Seems as if the Cowboys do the same
Cowboys
thing
are
every year. Keep
finishing
great in the regular season
11
and
and
then
6
choke
on
in
the
the
record.
playoffs. And unfortunately for them,
Losing
Dak
first
Prescott
round of
and
the
CeeDee Lamb are
playoffs.
going to be looking for new
Cowboys,
contracts.
11-6
but Micah Parsons
out
not
first
far
round of
behind,
playoffs.
so they might not be able to
11-6.
keep their roster together for long. This year, though, they do have
They
a
always
talented
get
team, and I
12
have them
wins
finishing
then
27th. As usual, they will beat
What?
bad teams and lose more often than not to playoff contenders.
Losing to the
It's just the Cowboy way.
Saints.
Looking at the NFC East, I have the Eagles coming in first at 13-4
No,
with the
Commanders
Cowboys trailing
finishing above the
behind at
Giants.
9-7, and then the Giants and
That's gonna be a
Commanders
close
hanging out at the
toss.
bottom. It shouldn't be too
The Giants'
controversial.
defense
The Cowboys
is
and Eagles are far better
outstanding.
teams than the Commanders and Giants. Final division in the NFC, and we'll start with the Saints. I
Saints.
truly don't know what the Saints' plan is.
The
They seem
final
like they're trying to
division
contend,
NFC
yet they're never
North.
able to make
Saints
any
always
big
have an
free
upper
agent
half
signings because of their
defense.
constant cap
This is not a
issues.
division.
Signing Derek Carr
Okay.
to his massive contract didn't
Saints
help, and
always
now they're
have
stuck in mediocrity until they can get out
a
of Carr's
top
contract.
tier
This
defense.
offensive line is also
Wins.
not good, which is very bad for a QB like Carr,
Yeah,
who has
give me
almost
8
no
wins.
semblance of pocket presence. I think Trevor Penning continue to be a starter is just not good because it isn't looking
Shut
like
your
Ryan
bitch ass
Ramczyk will
up,
be able to play.
Ames.
The defensive line isn't very good either, and Cam Jordan's age is catching up to him. At least Mario Davis is still playing at an elite level at 35, but this team is simply not ready to contend with others in the NFC or even in their own division, and I have them finishing with only 6 wins on the season.
Whoa.
None of their wins are
That's
against good
pushing.
teams either. It wouldn't surprise me if Dennis Allen is fired at the end of the season, and
Whoa,
the Saints
buddy.
just tear everything down and finally
Yeah,
try
the
to get
coach
out
is
of
still
cap
getting
hell.
fired there
The
at the end
Saints,
of the
can we please see Spencer Rattler at least once this year? Because at least he'll make this team watchable. Panthers can't do much worse than they did last season, and they knew it. That's why they spent
Nah,
$150
I have them
million
going for 5 this
on
year.
2 new guards to make sure Bryce Young has more than 35 nanoseconds to throw the ball. They do need Young to bounce back after a rough rookie season, though.
I have them
Deontay
getting
Johnson
5.
and Xavier Legette should help as
Deontay
well.
Johnson's
And
a nice
Dave
new
Canal
addition.
survived Baker Mayfield, so maybe he can do the same
Actually,
now.
give me 5 wins. They got new weapons. Hopefully that show up.
They have nice Derek Brown's top-tier D lineman.
They lost
Presently, I'll present the
Benz.
Panthers with 5
That
presents,
shot.
but at least it's a step up from last season, and I do think Bryce
Yeah.
Young will bounce back.
That's
The Falcons
exactly
gave Kirk Cousins $180 million, only
Oh,
to
here's a
draft
top
Michael Penix 8th overall, instead of bolstering
Oh,
10 wins.
hell no.
I have this team getting 10 and 7.
Nine.
Bijan Robinson is a generational running back who would have gotten over 2,000 yards if Arthur Smith actually knew how to use his starters. And Kyle Pitts and Drake
No one
London
ready for the
finally
Brees
have
Hall
their
better than
own
McCaffrey
seasons. But again,
conversation.
that defense
Shut your
wins,
bitch
more
ass
specifically
up,
the
buddy.
defensive line. The secondary
There's
is really
no bias
solid,
in that
with AJ
whatsoever.
Terrell and the best safety in the league, Jesse Bates. We'll see what Raheem Morris can do with his defense, but he will have his work cut out for him.
Nine
I think the
wins.
Falcons will pull away with 10 wins. They'll take their losses to the good teams like the Chiefs and
They're
Eagles.
losing
I think
to
they can hang
Panthers
with
one
most of
time.
the other teams in the
Are you
league. This might have been more like
serious?
11 wins if they drafted Dallas Turner or Latu, but you do you, Terry. Baker Mayfield is back, and the Bucs are a solid team.
Yeah, 10
They're into
7
a
again.
ton in free agency, but they maintain all their key guys. They're a very
Yeah,
similar
give me
team
10.
heading
Give me
into the
11-6.
season.
I have
they
them
no
winning
longer have
division
Dave
over
Canales,
the.
who played a
I have
big
them
part
winning
in Baker's
division over the
survival. I
Falcons.
also don't love
They
Todd
have
Bowles
an
as a
easy
head coach.
division,
He's
they'll
a
give me
defensive
11.
mind, but as a coach who rallies guys
No,
after
but
a
we
loss,
actually
I'm not so
10-7.
sure.
Todd
He
Bowles
was
is a
on the
trash
hot seat
coach.
until last season. Also, the Bucs
He
look at the
ruined the
pressure of
Jets
playing
franchise.
Desmond Ridder 2 times a year. And
I mean,
the
they
Bucs
have to
win
play
9
the
this season,
Panthers
same as
twice.
last
That's
year.
a
I think they'll keep
3.
a lot of games close, but won't always be able to finish them out. But
Those
they will
are
be a
2
solid
free
team.
wins. For some
Unfortunately
reason,
for
he
the
has
Bucs,
them
going 9-8
splitting with
isn't
the
enough to win
Panthers.
the
All I
division
have
this year, as the improved
is
Falcons
all
team
different
takes it
is
from them by 1
Buccaneers
game.
over
Carolina
Falcons
once
for
again
me.
finishes last, but at least they have a
I have a
future, unlike the
feeling.
Saints. Sorry, Saints
Well, if
fans,
these are the
but
rankings
it's
for the
true. You still
division,
wanna
I
see
feel
Spencer
like the
Rattler
Falcons
there.
are going
So
to
here
be
are
the
my
only one
projected
making the
NFC
playoffs.
standings.
That's
The
you
49ers
serious?
take the 1 seed over
The
Eagles.
Buccaneers and Bears missing the playoffs?
tiebreaker, meaning the Eagles fall to the 2 seed. The Lions take
Eagles
the
2
3
seed. Are you
and the
fucking
Falcons gain the 4
serious?
seed after
Are
the
you
league wins yet
fucking
again
with
the
me?
worst division in the NFC. As for the wildcard teams, the Rams take the 5 seed after an impressive season, and the Cowboys and
Yep,
Packers
that's
take
why
the
they're better
6 and
than
7
Steelers.
seeds respectively, with the Cowboys
Steelers
getting
could
the
never
nod
do
due to
that.
the conference record tiebreaker. This means that unlike
Steelers
last
could
year,
never
no
ever-
9-8
The
teams
Steelers
make
could
the
never
playoffs in the
become the
NFC, as
7th seed
Vikings
and lose in the
Bucks
first
barely
round.
Shut your
fell. The
bitch
Vikings
ass
gained the 8 seed over the
7th
Bucks,
seed
though, due
lose
to
in
the
the
common
first
games
round
record
once again.
tiebreaker. Underneath the Bucks, the Bears sit at the
Wait,
10
tell
seed,
me
and
who-
the Giants take the 11 seed over the Saints due to the head-to-head tiebreaker. As the
No.
Giants beat the Saints in Week 14. The 13 seed Panthers come out on top over the 14 seed Seahawks due to the strength of victories tiebreaker. The Cardinals is second to last at the 15 seed, and the Commanders bottom out the NFC at the 16 seed. Those are my NFC standings predictions. Let's move on.
I
to the
have,
AFC.
yeah, I
Moving on
might
to
have,
AFC
I
predictions,
might
we'll
have
start in
the
the AFC North with the Cleveland
Commanders
Browns.
might be
The Browns have a
bottom.
loaded roster that's held back by Mr. Massage. Watson is a very
I'm
polarizing.
between-
On one
I'm gonna
hand,
say-
he's being forced the Browns starter, and on the other hand, he's played so
10,
incredibly
10,
awful. And has
I'm
made
either-
some truly
I'm between 10 and
head-scratching
11.
reads at times, and other times just blatantly
Yeah, I'm going
missing
11.
throws. He hasn't played a
Shovel
full
will be
season
back.
since 2020.
Not
so
his
who
full
honestly
form, but
knows
he
what
will
we're
be
gonna get
back.
from this dude. The rest of the roster is absolutely loaded with talent, though, and I think it's enough to get the Browns 12 wins this season, despite having a very
12
difficult
is
schedule.
Stop right
Defense will
there.
be at the top
12
of the
is
league
pushing.
again, and I think Nick Chubb will play like a top 7-8 running back even after the
Yeah.
injury. But Watson
why I
does
drafted
limit the
him in the
potential of this team.
10th round
Showing
steal
what
in
the Browns were
fantasy.
smoking when they gave him that contract. Moving on to the team that's been stuck in mediocrity since 2018.
Yeah.
Russell Wilson is objectively washed, and Fields isn't any better. The weapons outside of George Pickens and Pat Fryermuth just don't exist.
So the
As
Rams
usual, though, this
dominate them
defense is
every day.
insane. T.J. Watt and Alex Highsmith might just be the best edge duo in the league.
Which
And
is why
Cam
they're
Hayward
finishing
still exists, but I worry that the offense is going to hold them back from being a true top
7
team
and
this
10.
year. However, Mike Tomlin will never have a losing season, no matter how
He
much
will
he
this year.
sacrificed to the football gods to get it.
He
And I
will
have the
this year.
Steelers going 9-8 for what feels
No,
like the
they're
25th time in 20 years.
No,
They're
they're
going to
not.
beat the bad teams, lose to good teams.
Well,
somehow beat
you
the
better
Ravens
have
on
the
road because
Bengals
Steelers
going 8 and
overall
9
just
then.
be an average team. At least they aren't the ones paying us. The Ravens are once again an absolutely stacked team. Like it or not, Lamar's a 2 times MVP. This defense is very good. And oh yeah, they brought in Derrick freaking Henry.
Yeah, they
Lamar
get
Henry
13
drops
wins.
because all the rest of this division is going to
I could see 14, but no, that's pushing it. The rivalries will get them some losses.
Got better. Not a lot else to say
Bengals will
about
beat
them.
them once.
The Bengals
I
going
had a
9-8
Browns
last
team.
year with Jake Browning was pretty impressive. division. And if Joe Burrow can play a full season, this team will rise back to Super Bowl contention. They have a top
11
receiving duo. Mike Gesicki's a big upgrade at tight end, and the
I have
defense should be
11
pretty good. Losing DJ Reader does hurt, but it
Put
shouldn't
down in the
affect them
comments if you
too
want
much.
to see us
That being
make.
Trey Hendrickson is super underrated. Their schedule also is the easiest in the division, and I have them going 13-4. And yes, I have them starting the season with 6 wins.
13
including
wins
beating the Ravens and Chiefs.
is
I
a
think this is
huge-
the year that Joe
They are
Burrow
not
finally
finished with
breaks his
13
annual
wins.
routine
They're
of being
getting
the absolute
wins.
worst quarterback in NFL
Yeah.
history for weeks 1 through 4. He's still a top 3 quarterback, and if he can stay healthy,
Ravens.
this team will be a scary one come playoff time. The AFC North might just be the best division in the NFL. I have all 4 teams finishing above
I think the
500.
Browns
The
could
Ravens
finish
take
over the
division
Bengals.
over the
I think
Bengals.
Ravens, I'll give
Record
them
tiebreaker,
13 and
but the
4.
Browns
I'll
got
give
far behind
the
at
order
11-6,
for me:
and the Steelers
Ravens,
bringing up the
Browns,
rear at
Bengals,
9-8.
Steelers.
Only in
I'll
this
give the
division,
Ravens
nine-eight
13 and
finished
4, but
last. On to
the
the
Browns
AFC
are gonna
West,
be
where we'll
above
begin with the
the
defending
Bengals.
Super Bowl champion Kansas City
Chiefs.
Swifties. Unfortunately, for
Yeah, they got
95%
choked in the
of
regular
NFL
season
fans,
like
the
always,
Chiefs
and
fixed
makes
their
them a
only real
miraculous
problem last
victory
year,
run in the
their
playoffs,
receiving core.
11
They
and 6.
basically decided they wanted to throw a
10-7.
log every play again, so they casually brought in 2 of the fastest receivers in the NFL, in Hollywood
John
Brown
Ross
and Xavier
2.0.
Worthy. With Rasheed Rice and Travis Kelce being great underneath targets, defense
Kelce's
will have
washed.
nightmares trying to cover everybody. Though who knows
Lost.
what's going on with
Lost
Rice, or if he's going to be
Snead.
suspended
Yeah,
for a
Kelce's-
stupid car incident. The defense is going to be great again under
Yep,
Steve
Rasheed Rice should
Spagnuolo,
be
even with the
suspended
loss
for
of
10
Jerry
years
Seed.
straight.
Also, Andy Reid
Kelce
is
is the
really
most
good at
fucking
coaching.
glazed
There's
tight
any
end in the
reason
league.
for a
He is
healthy
not
Chiefs
the
team to
best
not
tight
have a
end in the league.
fantastic season.
And also,
They're
guys,
not gonna win.
we do not hate the
13-3
Chiefs
this
one
season.
bit.
They're gonna enact
What
a weird
the
tradition of
fuck?
losing to one team every
What
year.
the absolute fuck? This pathetic. Oh, you have them losing to the fucking Raiders.
Oh, that's one of the 3 losses of the fucking season?
They can
The
to make sure
Raiders.
Justin Herbert never gets the recognition he deserves. I
What
like the
are
hiring
you
of Jim
talking
Harbaugh, but that's it. This team is
And now he has
Justin
no
Herbert and
weapons.
nobody
This-
else. The receiving
No
core's
weapons,
awful.
he's finishing
Gus Edwards is
6-11.
mediocre at best, and the Chargers' run defense is actually shit. The only
This is
guys
a
who can
fucking
consistently stop the
pathetic
run are Khalil
prediction.
Mack and edge
The-
rusher
that-
and Derwin James, who's a literal safety.
The fucking
Technically, Rashawn
ass-eating
Slater and
Chiefs
Joe
are not
Alt is
getting
good, but what
14
really leaves me
fucking
confused is
wins.
the hiring of Greg Roman. This dude is
Kelsey's
notorious for
not the
running
best
the
QB in
absolute
the.
piss out of the
Kelsey's
ball,
not the
which is
best
why
tight
it's
end in the
weird that
league.
they
I don't
hired
want to
him,
hear you.
considering they don't have a good running back, and Justin
And just
Herbert
so you
is
know,
not
guys,
doing
we
the
do
things
not
Lamar
hate the
Jackson
Chiefs.
can on the ground. All things considered, I think the Jim Harbaugh era doesn't start out great, with the Chargers only getting 6 wins, and I think that Greg Roman will be fired at the end of the season.
What are you
Justin
looking
Herbert will keep games close, but his
Why are you
defense will
looking
sell at the wrong times, and the receiving core won't help Herbert out much either.
What are
At
you
least they don't have
looking
Brandon
at?
Staley. The
This
Raiders are very interesting to me, because it seems like they really want Aiden O'Connell to be good. And I get that they weren't in a
Gardner
position to
Minshew's
draft a
better.
QB in last
Gardner
year's
Minshew
draft, but at the
started
same
over
time,
Aiden
this
O'Connell.
roster's too good to finish bottom of the league. I did really love the Gardner Minshew signing, because if Aiden doesn't work out, Gardner Minshew is a very capable bridge quarterback.
I'm a
However,
humorous
there's also
guy,
going to be a
that's
problem
what
if the
they
Raiders are
call
looking to
me.
draft a quarterback next
This is
year,
really
because Minshew might be too good to get those only 3 wins. But hey, maybe
I
O'Connell
see
has a really
running
good
back.
season.
Guys,
The rest
are you
of this team is very
excited?
solid. Max
First
Crosby
NFL
is a very
game is
scary
tomorrow,
QB, and
but
Devontae
we're gonna
Adams
be
is
posting
still
this
a top
tomorrow.
right now. If you
So
know
when
what
you
Josh
guys
Allen
see
to
this,
Michael Mayer
the
is,
Hall
it's
of Fame
very
game
hard
will
to
be
stop as
today.
well. And I think the lack of effort to get a true wide receiver 3 tells me that the Raiders are going to live in 12
You're
personnel.
about to
Bringing
be
in
out
Christian
this video.
Wilkins just makes this defensive line
The
that much
Raiders,
better,
they're
and Antonio Pierce
finishing
is a
7 and
really
10.
good head coach, and the
You
players
guys
really
got
seem
that
alike. However, there are still many concerns.
Not
Going from
focusing on
Josh
the video
Jacobs
at
to
all.
Zamir White is an obvious downgrade, and the secondary is not great. Also, having Gardner Minshew and Aiden O'Connell
Raiders are
does put a
finishing
massive
7 and
cap on the
10.
ceiling of this team. Combine all this with a rough schedule, and I have the Raiders finishing with just 6 wins. At the end of the day, this
What
team
are
isn't
you
very good
doing?
yet, but I think if they find the
Calm
right
down,
quarterback, whether
buddy.
that's O'Connell or somebody
Plus,
else,
we
this
got
team
to
has
take
a
his
promising
pills
future.
today.
The Broncos began their rebuild by drafting Bo Nix
Yeah.
12th overall,
Your
and then paying
pills
Russell
for your
Wilson $38 million
ADHD.
to not
Yeah.
play for them. I'm gonna be honest,
Broncos,
this is a dumpster
1
fire.
and
Sean Payton is a
16.
massive asshole. Portland Sutton and Garrett
1
Wilson
and
are the only
16.
above-average players on this offense, and I'm fully convinced Patrick Surtain
10
is the
win
only
incoming.
living thing on this defense. Outside of PS2, who obviously is a superstar, there really aren't any above-average players. I think
Five
Bo
wins.
Nix is a fine prospect, but there's a good chance his
Whoa,
style of play
worst
won't
team
make
in
it
the
in the
NFL
NFL.
next
He's a
year.
check-down king, no way around
Worst
it.
team in
He
NFL
can
next
throw
year.
deep. He just
Damn.
doesn't. His average depth of target last season was just 7 yards, but he's 193rd out of qualified D1
Yeah, they're talking about
quarterbacks.
Bo
He's
Nix is
efficient at
trash.
this, but in the NFL, you can't always rely on the check down. He has a future, but this season is going to be rough. And I have the Broncos with only 1 win. Yeah, it's low, but they just aren't ready to play with the other teams in the league right now. At least until Bo Nix learns to throw downfield more. As per usual, the Chiefs will take the AFC West once again. The Raiders and Chargers come in 2nd and 3rd, with the Raiders coming in 2nd due to the division records tiebreaker. And then there's the Broncos. Sorry guys, maybe next year. Moving on to the AFC East, we'll start with the
No, this is
Buffalo
the
Bills.
greatest
This
division in
league
the
house
NFL.
and got younger at many positions this offseason. And while I like many of the players
Bills are
that
still
will be
finishing
starting,
11
they
and
are
6.
unproven.
Josh Allen
The secondary secondaries have been almost completely replaced. And while I think the 2025 and 2026 Bills will be better than last year's, I can't say this year's Bills will be better with all the unproven players. That being said, Josh Allen, despite the turnovers, is really good at football. The defensive line is rock
Josh
solid,
Allen,
and the offensive
number
line
one
should be
QB
good
in the
as well.
league.
I have the Bills going
9
10-7
wins.
this year, with most of their losses coming to Super Bowl contenders or teams within the
Josh
division.
Allen,
It's a
best QB in
respectable
the
season,
NFL.
but this year's really about seeing what they have in their young talent. If Aaron Rodgers can last more than 4 snaps, then this season is automatically a win for the
I've
Jets.
seen
But
12
actually,
and 5.
everyone and their grandma
seen
knows that this
11
team is
6.
loaded from top to bottom. Last season, they finished 7-10 with Zach Wilson, Trevor Siemian, and Tim Boyle at the helm. And they basically upgraded at every position that they needed to. They brought in Mike Williams to go alongside Garrett Wilson. They brought in 3 new tackles in Tyron Smith, Morgan Moses, and Olu Fashanu. So that won't be a problem anymore. And if the defense couldn't get any better, they replaced Bryce Huff with Hassan Reddick. Though their schedule isn't super easy, I have the Jets going 12-5. This team has above average superstars at nearly every position, and there isn't any reason that they shouldn't reach this win total, unless the MetLife turf strikes again, or Leonard Floyd does Leonard Floyd things in week 1. But if so, Jordan Travis is still an upgrade over Zach Wilson. With Tua's contract coming up, the Dolphins need to win now before they lose everyone. This team is really
they're
good.
missing
They
the
have a
playoffs
top 2
round 8.
receiving duo and a top 10 secondary.
like we had in the
Tua
last
isn't a
video.
bad quarterback, even if a newborn could throw farther than he can, and the duo of Mostert and Achane will keep
Would we
defenses
have the
honest.
Dolphins
But that's where the positivity stops. The offensive line is painfully
Yeah,
mediocre, and the defensive line is significantly downgraded after the loss of Christian Wilkins, and they might start the season without their 2 top edge rushers in Jalen Phillips and Bradley Chubb. That being said, this roster is too good to not have a bad season, and combine that with a pretty easy schedule, and I have them finishing with 11 wins.
No.
As usual, they beat bad teams and lose to good teams. That's
They're
why I
not
have them
beating
ending
the
on a 4-game
Packers.
losing streak. As all 4
What?
of those teams, I believe, will finish
No,
with
the
at least
Bills
11
own
wins. There's a
They
spoiler,
beat the Bills
Texans fans.
both
Another
times.
average Mike
Are you
McDaniel
on
season.
crack?
It's been mostly positive in this division, but that ends here. The Patriots team
Yep,
has more
Patriots
holes
again,
than they
3
let have
wins.
holes and holes. The receiving
Now I'm
core,
giving them
the
4.
offensive line, the receiving core,
4.
the receiving core. Holy shit, this receiving core is terrible. I think Kendrick Bourne is your number 1 is just awful. I mean, did the Patriots not learn anything from the Panthers last year? That giving your rookie quarterback absolutely no help is a terrible idea. They don't even have to look outside their own team. Mac Jones literally died because they give him absolutely nothing, and now his confidence is less than mine, and I try to talk to a woman. Drake May's gonna get more destroyed than goddamn Alderaan from Star Wars.
Stop
Okay,
with these
tangent
jokes,
over.
buddy.
This team's only winning 2 games. The defense is good, but I still think this team's only
2
winning 2 games.
games
I just
with
really
a
hope
good
this team drafts Luther Burden next year, or Terry Toe McMillan,
Yeah,
or
basically
literally
the
anybody, because right now a fetus would be more effective
They're
than
basically
KJ
the
Osborne.
Jets.
To recap
So
the
I
AFC
don't know
East, the
why
Jets
they
finally
won.
win the division and make the playoffs for the first time in
4
12
wins.
years. The Dolphins
We win the
barely get ahead of the
division!
Bills.
Yes!
Due to the fact that the Dolphins
Take it home, I'm
We've made it in the final division. The
he's over
AFC
here
South,
gonna
and the
use the 10
Houston
alphas.
Texans are up first. I'm just gonna bring up their record
You
now.
know what
Yep,
else
you see it
next?
properly. I have the Texans finishing with
So I don't know what
14
you're
wins.
doing.
I'm that
Okay,
high on
okay,
them.
to
I don't
be
think CJ
excited
Stroud's
for
rookie
my
year was a
team
fluke,
making
and
the
adding Stephon
playoffs
Diggs to
this
that
year.
already loaded
Prediction
receiving core
video.
is just gonna make
They're
things
making
so
the
much better.
playoffs.
Joe Mixon is an upgraded
Prediction
running back, and the
video from
offensive
someone
line
with
isn't bad either.
250
Their defense is
subscribers.
really good too. Will Anderson's only gonna get better, and they upgraded at edge with Daniil Hunter. Derek Stingley and Jalen
the
Petrie are gonna
49ers
hold
aren't
down
making
that
the
secondary,
playoffs.
and
It's only a
D'Amico Ryan is just
prediction
icing on the
video.
cake. I and many others say that defensive-minded head coaches limit the ceiling of a team, but I think that
Alright,
this is
the
an exception.
49ers,
Unlike most,
the
Ryan is not
49ers,
an old-school head
Cowboys,
coach. He connects
Eagles,
with his
none of
players, and his
them
more
are making
modern
the
4-2
playoffs
defense has
according to
proven to
me.
be very effective. Overall, I'm
The
super high on this
Chiefs,
team, and I think
Bills,
you'll have a fantastic
Jets,
season. The Jaguars just
Bengals,
made
none
Trevor
of them are
Lawrence the
making the
highest
think
paid
there's
playoffs.
player
something
in
wrong with
history,
Sky
and now it's time to
mentally.
prove that he
It
can lead
is
this team
only
to
a
the playoffs.
prediction,
This team is
so-
solid all around, with a few stars in Josh Allen and Evan Ingram, but overall, this team isn't anything spectacular. They have mostly average to slightly above average players in most positions, and sometimes that just
8
isn't
and
enough.
9.
Combine that with a very tough schedule, and I think the
9 and
Jags only finished with 8 wins, not meeting most people's expectations.
the
I think this team starts
That's
0-4 and
most
simply
teams
won't
will
be able to recover.
watch.
Their lack of star power really holds this team
You've
back.
guessed
With
the
their
last
young guys,
5
specifically
teams
Trayvon
correct.
Walker and Brian Thomas have
You
good
missed
seasons,
3
then the
teams in a
future
row
is
because
bright.
no.
This season for the Titans is all about seeing if Will Levis is the guy. Not much else really matters,
7
which shows
wins.
when taking a look at this roster. There are really only 2 position groups that are above average, and that's the receiving core and interior defensive line.
6 wins.
Everything else just isn't that good. The offensive line's not good, and while they have potential, this season is going to be rough up front. Losing Derrick Henry is also a big problem, literally. So the Titans won't have the running game that they've been used to. The linebacking room and the edge room is also very
6
poor,
wins.
and the secondary outside of L'Jarius
I
Sneed
am
isn't that
saving
good. The team is
leads.
not
Jones
ready to
College.
compete yet, and that's why I have them only going 3-14.
What?
It's low,
What
but like I
the
said, this team just isn't that good. I think
What
Will Levis has a
the
solid
fuck?
season, but that's really the only positive takeaway from
What
this
the
season. They need to try and get some younger
Man,
talent with
what
higher
the
upside
fuck?
or proven veterans in a
Man,
lot of
what the
positions
fuck?
before they're ready to compete. Just like the
Man, what
Titans,
the
the
fuck?
Colts' main goal this
Yep,
season is
the Colts
finding
are
out
going
if they have a
9-8.
franchise quarterback. I think Anthony Richardson is going to be
9
great
and
in this
8.
league, especially with Shane Steichen a head coach, but he will have his ups and downs. Unlike the Titans, this Colts team actually has above-average players at multiple positions. The
10-7.
offensive line is solid, the receiving core is young and talented, and Jonathan
They
Taylor's pretty
were
good at
one
football as
drop
well.
away
All three
from
levels of the
making the
defense are
playoffs
solid at
last
worst,
year.
and while I
Now
only
they
have
got
them going
better
6-11, I
QB.
think they'll be a pain in a lot of team
Now-
sides, and will take games
What
down
the
the way.
fuck?
6-11 doesn't look great this
6 and
season. I do have
fucking
them finishing
11,
strong,
what the
going
fuck?
3-1 in their last 4 games. And the
Oh,
future is very
hell
bright in
no,
Indy.
man. What
Looking
the
at the AFC
fuck,
South,
man?
the Texans soar past the rest, finishing in first by a mile. The Jags come up second at 8-9, with the Colts not too far behind at 6-11, and the
I think
Titans
the
at
Colts might
3-14
finish
are
above the
resting down at the
Jaguars.
bottom. So here are my
Hell
final
no.
projected AFC standings.
Yep.
I have the Texans and
Check score.
Chiefs being the two top teams in the conference. The Texans take the 1 seed though due to the head-to-head tiebreaker
Oh,
as they beat the
we
Chiefs
got
in
left
Week
on the
16. The
video.
Ravens sit at the 3 seed at 13-4, and the Jets aren't far behind at the 4 seed at 12-5. The Bengals, despite having a better record than the Jets, finished 1 place lower at the 5 seed due to division
Okay.
placement, and the Browns take the 6 seed
Why
over
did
the
you
Dolphins.
have to mention
This actually
that?
means that the
They
Bills
won their
narrowly
fucking
miss out on the
division, buddy.
playoffs. In most
There was
cases,
no
going
point in
10-7 is a
mentioning
free
it.
playoff berth, but in this stacked AFC, it just isn't enough this year. The Steelers also don't come too
And
far from the
11 and
playoffs, finishing
16
9-8
misses
and
the
sitting at the 9 seed.
playoff.
The Jags take the 10 seed, and the Raiders,
What
Chargers,
the
and
actual-
Colts all tie for the 11
this is
seed.
10
The
and
tiebreaker
7.
goes to the Raiders,
But
however,
Bills
due
won.
to the division placement tiebreaker, and the Chargers finish at the 12 seed over the Colts due to the common record games tiebreaker. The Titans sit at the 14 seed, the Patriots at the 15 seed, and the Broncos bottoming out the AFC at the 16 seed. On to my playoff predictions. We'll start on the AFC side. The 1 seed Texans get the first round bye, and in the
He's gonna
wild
give it
card,
to
the
the
2 seed
fucking
Chiefs
Bengals.
take on the 7 seed Dolphins, 3 seed Ravens face the 6 seed Browns, and the 4 seed Jets take on the 5 seed Bengals. I
Yeah, I
have
have
the
the
Chiefs,
Jets winning.
Ravens, and Bengals advancing on to the
Yeah,
divisional
yeah,
round, with the
winning.
Dolphins, Browns, and Jets going home. In the divisional, the 1 seed
Of course
Texans
you
get the
do.
first playoff action, taking on the 5 seed
Going
Bengals, and the 2
home,
seed
buddy.
Chiefs once
It's
again take on the
all
3 seed
home.
Ravens. Just like last year,
We
I have the
own the
Chiefs eliminating the
USA.
Ravens, and the Texans eliminate the Bengals to
My
move on to the
prediction
conference championship.
is...
In the conference championship, the 1 seed Texans and the 2 seed Chiefs face off
Oh,
in a Week
hell
16
no.
rematch.
This
And
prediction
just like
is
in Week
already
16, the
horrible.
Texans
You
take
wanna
down
know
the
why?
Chiefs and advance to the
Because
Super
the
Bowl for the first time in
pathetic
franchise
Because the
history.
pathetic
Over
ass
on the
Chiefs are
NFC
not
side, the
making-
49ers get the first round
My
bye. In the
unbiased
wild card,
prediction,
the 2 seed Eagles
Lions
take on the
beating the
7 seed
Texans.
Packers, the 3 seed Lions take on the 6 seed
Lions
Cowboys,
beating
and the
the
4 seed
Texans.
Falcons face the 5 seed
Very good
Rams.
prediction
In a
right
rematch of the Brazil game from Week 1, I actually have the Packers upsetting the
The
Eagles,
Texans
along
are
with the
not
Lions
making
taking
it.
down the Cowboys and the
What
Rams
the
beating the Falcons.
actual
This
fuck
means that
are
in
you
the divisional
saying?
round, we
I
have
mean,
2 playoff rematches from
Stop
last
trying
year.
to get
The 1
click.
seed 49ers versus the
the
7 seed
Super
Packers
Bowl.
and the 3 seeded Lions
I'm in
against the
the
5 seed
Super
Rams.
Bowl.
And same as last year,
This
I have the
guy's
49ers and Lions coming out on top, creating a rematch in the NFC Championship from last year. However, this year, I believe that the 3 seed Lions upset the 1 seed 49ers
I
and
did
move
not
on to their
rewatch
first
this
Super
video,
Bowl in
guys.
franchise history. In the Super Bowl, we have 2 teams that have never made it before this year, and the Texans from the AFC and the Lions from the NFC. And I
Guys.
believe that the Texans take the Lombardi Trophy this year over the Lions,
I think
with
the
Will
Li-
Anderson winning
better-
Super Bowl MVP. I do
better not
truly believe that
fucking
this
do that
Texans team is
bullshit.
capable of something special,
damn
and
well
that
you
they are going
watched
to be
the
the team
video,
that
you
wins
just
Super Bowl
purposely got
59.
that one.
Finally, we have the NFL Honors Awards
Nope, we
predictions.
don't care
We'll start
about
with
Yes, we do. Yes, we do.
That
We
don't
still have
enough
time. We still have
We
time.
don't have enough time. 29 minutes into our video.
Just go. Just go.
So we're gonna end this video now.
No, the fuck we're not. No.